Satoru Fujinuma tears up his manga after learning that his editor had rejected it, then returns to his flat to consider his options. He then secures employment at Oasi Pizza. During one of his deliveries, he encounters revival, a rare occurrence that allows him to travel back in time by a few seconds and carry out heroic deeds. He utilizes this to save a youngster from a runaway vehicle whose driver had died of a heart attack, although he spends a few days in the hospital as a result. Satoru dreams about a mystery red-clad girl who is standing by herself in the park when he was a kid. When he awakens, his co-worker anirecapd welcomes him and thanks him for saving the youngster. Sachiko Fujinuma, Satoru's concerned mother, pays him a visit at home and tells him about a case from 18 years prior in which Jun Shiratori, also known as Yuki to Satoru, was detained and accused of kidnapping and killing two of his friends. The following day, while out shopping with Sachiko, he has another revival but is unable to identify what caused it. Sachiko, however, notices a suspicious man who appeared to try to steal a child and then gets into a car by himself and leaves. They run into Katagiri shortly after, and Sachiko invites her to supper. Sachiko comes to the conclusion that the man was in fact the murderer after further inquiry, but she is slain in her son's home before she can notify Satoru. When Satoru discovers Sachiko's body and is accused of killing her, he is sent back in time 18 years to the time when he was still in elementary school. Satoru hurries home after class to locate his mother. The following evening, Sachiko arrives home from work late and is met by her son, who is relieved to see his mother once more. Satoru notices a bruise on Keo Hinazuki's thigh, one of his classmates who was slain during the kidnapping event, and realizes that she was transferred to this time period by revival is related to Sachiko's murder in the future. Osamu, Kazu, and Hiromi assume that Satoru has love affections for the girl because of his interest in her, and Kenya advises him to read an article written by Keo since it provides more insight into her difficult home life. Satoru chooses to invite Keo to his birthday celebration in an effort to better understand her and hopefully prevent her from being killed. In order to avoid accidentally altering the future, Satoru tries to hold back from winning a speed skating competition against Himada, which only Kenya observes, before remembering the exact same result from his past. His covert forfeit enrages the classmate and displeases Keo, to whom he had promised a win. In an effort to determine the date of Hinazuki's disappearance, after failing to find out her birthday, Satoru goes into his teacher's office and makes an attempt to see the student file before being stopped by Gaku Yoshiro. Yoshiro gives Satoru access to Keo's birthday information, which reveals that it is March 2nd, the same day as his, leading the boy to believe that he has feelings for her. Yoshiro advises Satoru to put his all into it and work hard to succeed as he leaves. Later, when Satoru goes to the park to look for Keo, he encounters Jun Shiratori after spotting one of his paper aeroplanes. Spending some time with him at his home, he observes how Yuki has changed as an adult, but he maintains his belief that Shiratori is not the kidnapper because of his sympathetic nature. He eventually finds out from their conversation that Jun had only ever met Keo alone a few times in the park. When Satoru visits Keo at her home later, he discovers her battered and partially nude in a shed. As her mother arrives and dragged her daughter back into the home, he attempted to cover her with his jacket. When the mom is questioned about how her daughter was hurt, Keo responds that she fell. The woman's nasty and blatant behaviors leave Fujinuma stunned as the two continue to walk away. Later that night, to conceal her bruises, Keo's mother rams Keo's head into the ice-filled kitchen sink while her boyfriend begged her to save some ice. Satoru and Keo are assigned to homeroom duty the following morning. Satoru sets up the homeroom as Hinazuki enters the classroom after class has started. After collecting the lunch money from the pupils, Satoru visits his teacher's office to discuss Keo's abusive mother-daughter relationship. Then Gaku tells Satoru that the absence of proof has prevented Child Protective Services from proving this for the past year. After Satoru informs Gaku that the lunch money is gone, Miss Ado accuses Keo of stealing and proposes searching everyone's bags in their homeroom. Later, when Keo discovers the money at her desk, the pupils start calling her a thief. Satoru is incensed by this and orders the students to be quiet as Kenya asserts that anyone might have hidden the money in Keo's backpack. The situation is brought under control by Yoshiro, who also reminds the students that Kyo and Satoru were designated for homeroom duties. After finishing the cleaning, Satoru takes Kyo to the top of a mountain to show her a Christmas tree covered in frost and offers that they return during the summer as well. Kenya is seen speaking to Gaku back at the school. Sachiko assists Satoru in getting Kyo to agree to go with her to the neighborhood science museum. While on the outing, Satoru has a feeling of déjà vu and worries as he keeps speaking the same things. Both Satoru and Kyo are able to celebrate their birthdays the next day after March 1st, the day Kyo was first reported missing, passes without incident. Satoru is convinced he has changed history at this point, but when Kyo doesn't show up for school the next day, Satoru is horrified. A few days later, another schoolgirl vanishes, and Satoru is furious that he was powerless to stop it when Kyo vanished. After seeing Akemi discard Kyo's possessions, Satoru finds himself unexpectedly back in 2006, still wanted for Sachiko's murder and having to flee from the authorities. Soon later, Satoru meets Irie, who acknowledges his innocence and extends an invitation for him to stay at her house. There, he discovers that his actions did in fact alter the facts of Kyo's disappearance just a little bit. The next day, as Satoru does his best inquiry, Irie stops her manager from reporting Satoru to the police and stops him from doing his finest investigation. Irie receives a text from Sachiko's phone later that evening after assisting Satoru in finding another place to hide. Just before getting caught in a house fire, Satoru runs to save Irie from the burning house after seeing it, but not before she puts her phone into his pocket. The manager then assumes control of the rescue operation. Satoru phones the number Sachiko left behind after discovering the message on Irie's phone to set up a meeting with Saeda, a friend of Sachiko's. Satoru is informed by Saeda of Sachiko's last phone contact, in which she claimed to know the identity of the real kidnapper but was unable to tell him before she was killed. He also clarifies the specifics surrounding Kyo's death by pointing out June's framing similarities to a different kidnapping episode that happened in a nearby town and coming to the conclusion that the real kidnapper was the one who killed Sachiko. Saeda goes to the hospital to meet up with Irie, only to find out that her mother has switched places with her so she can prove Satoru's innocence. While Satoru researches Saeda's findings on the kidnapping incident, including a list of prior suspects, when Irie runs into Satoru, she tells him about a mysterious man named Nishizono who might have started the fire, but the police arrive and detain Satoru. Satoru recognizes the man he saw leaving his home the night Sachiko was killed as he is being taken away. Through pure effort, Satoru successfully activates his revival and travels back to February 28, 1988, because he is determined not to let things end the way they are. The following day at school, Kenya speaks with Satoru about Kyo's home situation and offers to help, stating that he has been aware of the domestic abuse for some time. After June's birthday party on March 2nd, Satoru throws a rock through his window to call the police, giving him a plausible excuse for his whereabouts. Following that, Kenya persuades Satoru to take an alternative action when he approaches Akemi and is about to push her down some stairs. Instead, with Kyo's consent, Satoru chooses to abduct her and take her to an abandoned bus where she would stay for a few days until it is determined that she is safe. However, on the evening of March 3, an unidentified person breaks inside the bus as Kyo is dozing. Before departing and leaving a footprint on a box he kicked, Kyo just about manages to escape the invader. In the course of Yoshiro's investigation of Kyo's home with a number of staff members from the Child Consultation Center the following night, Kyo notifies Satoru and the others about the intruder from the previous night. They discover a briquette that is thought to be the murderers as they search a backpack that was left behind. Satoru recognizes the tools as the ones used to accuse June of killing Kyo. Satoru brings Kyo to spend the night at his house, where Sachiko had been waiting for them, after realizing he is still caught up in the cycle of killings involving kidnappings. The following day, Kyo returns to her home with Satoru and Sachiko to face Akemi. To watch next part, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon to get the notification of every video uploaded.